You hear that? It's raining again. All right, welcome to the Motormouth YouTube channel. I'm Zach.
I'm Andrea.
And we do full-length car reviews each and every week. And halfway through, we stopped for a segment called Questions, Coffee, and Cars. And you liked it, so we spun it off. We're at number 93. How do you get a question in?
Follow along on Instagram at Motormouth_Andrea. Every Sunday morning, I put a post out with Zach and I holding coffees, asking for questions. Once we gather them, the post is deleted and we start the show.
Time now for Questions, Coffee, and Cars.
Your questions from Instagram.
Love your show. Thank you. Thanks for the amazing content. I have a 2023 Genesis GV70 2.5T. I notice a whining noise when I accelerate. This mostly happens when I'm driving 70 to 100 kilometers per hour. Apparently, it's from the rear differential. Dealership acknowledged the issue and replaced the parts for me, but I'm hearing it again. What should I do? Yeah, this is a common problem. If you go on any online forums, they're complaining about this as well. Some have had the fix and it's fine. Others are like you, where it's come back. I would work with the dealership first off, but also open up a file number with Genesis Canada, just so that you have it documented.
Get them to do it again. I mean, if it's a known problem and they already did it once and the noise is back, get them to do it again. Keep on them, and then, I'm not sure what you want to do when maybe you leased a car, it runs out. You want to keep it or keep going. Yeah. We are sitting in a Cayenne. This one doesn't have it because it's a diesel, but the gas models had the previous version a central differential. The transfer case would whine and make noise. Do you remember our first gray one?
Yeah.
Yeah, they replaced the transfer case because it was making noise.
It didn't come back though, as far as I remember.
It kind of did, and it's a known failure point, so this can happen. And then you just have to know that either you want to have that Genesis or you don't.
I have to say, after they fixed it though, I mean, I barely noticed it. Maybe you did, but I thought they did a pretty good job with that.
The tech we're driving around with a tech with a stethoscope in the back.
It's terrible.
And he goes, oh yeah, there's noise there. We're getting a new one.
Enjoy listening to your channel. I appreciate how the two of you provide your individual perspectives. Yes, we do. But at times agree to disagree. That happens a fair amount, I would say. My question is regarding brand loyalty. How do the two of you remain non-biased to certain brands when you're doing car reviews? I find myself discounting some new, updated car entries just because they're made by a manufacturing brand I don't have a favorable opinion of. Do you find yourself sometimes doing the same thing?
Well, that's a really good point, because before Andrea came on board full-time doing the videos, almost 5 years ago now. You've been doing this with me for 5 years and we're still together, Andrea.
We are.
Crazy, right? I used to when I would do like certain Fords and Chevys and Buicks and things, I used to say, why do they always get crucified so much? Because they can make some really good products. And we've driven like the new Chevy Traverse. We were both blown away by it, but there's a lot of people have a bias that just won't even consider a Chevrolet.
I think it really comes down to the fact that we drive new vehicles, and yes, reliability is an issue for many people. It can be, the top of your list. You want a reliable vehicle, and then that goes back to brand loyalty and manufacturers like Honda and Toyota, who have been doing this a long time, and they've earned that reliability rating. And then you've got Hyundai and Kia, who've had issues in the past with their powertrains, and today even have some issues. No brand is perfect. When we review a vehicle, I kind of put myself in that category. If we're reviewing a subcompact vehicle like the Kia Seltos, I look at different things and what maybe the consumer would look for when buying it. Usually, because we take questions from Instagram, typically you bring up reliability, so we do talk about that in our reviews as well.
Yeah, we're handcuffed because a lot of the cars we're driving are brand new, and they're a brand new model, and people say, why don't you talk about reliability and dependability? It's like, it's a brand new car. We can't see the future. No. We don't know how it's going to go, and all we can do is look at the metrics, and then people say, oh, that's all bought and paid for. Chevrolet is right near the top. Buick's right near the top. Oh, General Motors paid for all of that. It's like, well, then why doesn't Land Rover at the very bottom pay, and then they could get their scores up?
Volvo's not paying
Volvo's not paying either. They're at the bottom too. It's just not true. So if you look at certain brands, the perception is They don't know how to make a good car, and then we drive them, we're like, this is a really good car. Then you look at the quality scores and you go, wow, the Chevy Equinox is one of the best in its class, period. Even against the RAV4 and the CRV.
Yeah.
The Chevy Equinox, who would have thunk it?
And I also think that people who are looking for a vehicle, let's say you've had a Honda or a Toyota for 10 years, and you want to jump in and buy another vehicle. There are Hondas and Toyotas along the way, especially new vehicles, that can have reliability issues too. But because of that brand loyalty, people are more forgiving. Whereas another brand that has had problems along the way, not so forgiving. So we just try to take a non-bias approach when we're reviewing vehicles based on the vehicle being brand new and what we think of it.
We do have a bias though, Andrea. Everything Porsche makes is great, except for their shiny higher plastic on the inside.
And we've complained about that in our reviews, but it's tough to beat the driving dynamics of a Porsche for sure. Do you think Acura is doing its customers a disservice by not offering hybrid options? I've been wanting an RDX, but if their plan is to go straight to all-electric vehicles, I'm probably going to go with a Lexus NX 350h. I think the RDX is more stylish, but I think a hybrid option would make it perfect.
Well, they might be rethinking that because Prologue sales have not exactly taken off.
I know.
And Acura ZDX sales are just starting now. I think that, we were in the company of a senior executive from Nissan Infiniti on our last trip with the QX80 and talking about how they're trying to rethink what they're going to do. It was all in and all electric. And now they're like, well, maybe we should have hybrids. Maybe we should have plug-ins. And over at the Honda Motor Company, they're maybe thinking the same thing.
I think so too. And don't forget, the Honda Prelude is a hybrid. It's coming out. So if you look at that, and that Prelude, they could have easily just said it's going to be an EV, but they went with a hybrid. We don't have a lot of information on the Prelude, but I have a feeling too that they're revisiting. It's the same with Volkswagen. We spoke to a top executive at the ID Buzz launch, and I said, I think you're missing the boat. And he said, yeah, we're definitely reviewing the market. So, things have changed.
Yeah, I think worldwide, all of these car companies are rethinking their EV strategy.
Yeah.
And then you have a major shift in the political winds in Europe, especially with the European Union elections that happened a couple of weeks ago. And the Green parties really lost a lot of seats. And then you had on the right end of the spectrum, a lot of support for different parties. And so there's going to be a lot of pressure on the European Union maybe to rethink their EV mandate. So we're going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, it's interesting how Toyota was full force hybrids and plug-in hybrids and were criticized highly.
Well, boring Prius, who would want a hybrid?
And now it's the opposite. Now they're just selling so many electrified vehicles. Hi, we're looking to replace our family van, preferably with another van. We love the practicality, but would like all-wheel drive for getting to the cottage in the winter. Being told there is a 3 to 4 year wait for a Toyota Sienna. Why such a long wait? They keep saying no one wants vans, but we can't seem to get one. Will Honda make their Odyssey all-wheel drive anytime soon?
You got that right. The Sienna has a monster waiting list. It has a monster waiting list. You know how you get around this? You just look for a used Sienna all-wheel drive van.
Yeah, you could do that.
And you could order a new one, and then when it comes in, then you could trade your other, because the resale value on these things is killer. So say you find one that's 3 years old, and you drive it, and then when the new one comes in 2 years, then you trade it in, you're going to get good money for it.
I am suspicious about the fact that everybody wants a Sienna minivan and there's a 3 to 4 year wait. I think that there's some sort of a
trickery?
Yeah, inventory issue in there, meaning that maybe they're having trouble producing the Sienna. I'm not convinced. Come on. In the world that we live in today with the popularity of SUVs, and don't get me wrong, I like a good minivan for getting kids in and out of the vehicle, but I just don't believe that the Sienna is so popular that they can't make enough. I don't believe it.
Well, the reality is you can't get one. So it doesn't matter whether it's sales trickery or not, you just can't get one. So, and my trick is still the same. Go into the sales manager and say, hey, Bob, hi, Sally, hey, Jennifer. Looking for a Sienna van. Here's your favorite wine, and every couple of months pop in there with a bottle of Cab or Sav or whatever they like, and then just say, remember me? I bet you the van will show up quicker.
Well, I did some research online, whether this is true or not. I'm just going to say it anyway. But apparently there is a chip that's also used in the Sienna that's used in the RAV4. And you can only get so many of them. So they're giving it to the RAV4, which is why the Sienna, because it isn't as popular, has a longer wait time. Whether that's true or not, I'm just putting it out there.
That's trickery, Andrea.
It's trickery, and I believe that there's some sort of trickery going on here. Hello again, love your content, fun to watch. My daughter is getting her G2. Wow, congratulations. And I found a well-maintained higher mileage Acura TL that I bought home for her to try. I've realized I'm done driving the box 2006 Element, and it's time Dad gets a fun car again. I'm pretty set on a Civic Si, but I know there were oil issues with 1.5T. I found a few 17 to 18s that are decent. I know you love the GTI, but I've been there and done that. Anyway, keep up the great work.
SI's a great car. And the nice thing is you're talking about the previous generation SI. It had the adaptive suspension. They got rid of it for the new one and they've kept it for the Integra. So the SI, that generation is great. I wouldn't worry too much about the oil dilution. I always get it backwards.
Oil dilution.
Dilution. No, not delusion. Dilution.
Dilution or diluted oil issues.
Yeah, but we're not diluted. It's dilution. So there's some oil that gets into some fuel that gets into the oil. So the way you get around it is you can do extra oil changes. That's not that big a deal. Make sure you get the vehicle checked. A big one was they changed the thermostat to get the engine up to operating temperature quicker. That was one reason. And I think the SI would be a wonderful choice.
I love the SI as well, but you're right. The 1.5T does have issues. It seems to be hit and miss. If you live in a colder climate, you're going to have more problems than if you are living in a warmer climate. That particular year that you're talking about has issues.
So maybe get the newest you can of the last gen.
Yeah.
So the newest version of the last gen would be a good way to go. Oh, I was just going to say, there was one other thing I wanted to say about, make sure you drive it first. Can I just, before you jump in on the reliability, make sure you drive it first, because the SI has a little issue with drivability that some people just can't get their head around. It's called rev hang. When you accelerate, you go, and it's only sold with the manual. You go, clutch in, change gears, and the revs don't drop. They hang up, and for some people, drives them crazy. Other people, they just deal with it. So drive before you buy. Okay, what were you going to say about reliability?
So I just want to say, because you're talking about this issue, I want you to watch a YouTube channel. It's called Shade Tree Automotive. And the mechanic is fantastic on there. And he sees this. He sees it more in colder climates than in warmer climates. He basically comes down to saying that it's a well-designed engine, and Honda makes great engines. And so this one is a bit of a surprise, but he said that Honda really wanted to focus on power and fuel economy with this. And he says that all engines have this problem, but this one is well above where it should be. So that is the concern. He also says that if you drive longer distances, you'll have less problems. So watch
short
this
distances,
video.
Sort of back to your point. Short distances, engine doesn't get up to operating temperature, and in a cold climate, it takes a lot longer to get up to operating temperature, which is why they changed the thermostat in the engine. So make sure that that protocol has been done. You could probably get a higher temperature thermostat and install it. Thermostats are not expensive to install. So probably the dealer should have done it, or do it yourself. And then oil changes more often, cheap maintenance. So if there's any fuel that is getting into the oil, you're getting that out of there and you're replacing it with clean oil.
So avoid the 2017 to 2018, and also CRVs were affected 2016 to 2018.
So
some good information there.
Yeah,
watch that guy. He was, it was so informative.
So the last year or so of the previous gen, you get the adaptive suspension. Great car. You're going to love it.
Thanks, Zach and Andrea, for your video. I'm hesitating between a Grand Highlander Hybrid XLE and the new Korean duo Hyundai Santa Fe or Sorento. The price difference is quite huge. I usually keep my car for 10 years. The SUV will be used for a lot of highway, like the Coquihalla, and my wife and I are afraid that the small 1.6 liter turbo will not be reliable compared to the Toyota. Or is there a better option, gas or hybrid, no PHE, or EV I can't charge in the building?
Okay, what were the first two cars?
Grand Highlander XLE
Yeah.
hybrid or the new Santa Fe or Sorrento hybrid. Doing a lot of driving on the Coquihalla, so pretty steep.
Listen,
They're both.
Yeah.
They're both. You're going to find them both to be slightly slow.
The Koreans are going to definitely be better on the high because you have the turbocharger that's going to be able to give you that extra grunt when you need it. The Grand Highlander is basically the same hybrid system they use in most of their vehicles, and you're asking that system to do a lot of work on the highway. It's fine in the city. We even said in our review of it, if you're just dropping kids at school and activities and going to the grocery store, the hybrid would be the way to go. I think you need the Hybrid Max.
I think you need the Hybrid Max for that. And as for the Sorrento and the Santa Fe, I did find on the highway, and you know, if I was going up a steep mountain like the Coquihalla, I might be a little bit worried about power from that Santa Fe hybrid and Sorrento hybrid as well. But you know what? You might find that anyway with any hybrid. That Coquihalla is very steep.
I'm a big fan of the base Grand Highlander 2.4 turbo.
Yeah.
I think that
that
you know, you could save some money, put it towards the gas for those few times a year you're driving on that highway.
Yeah.
If you're not aware, in British Columbia, we have a major highway that runs through the interior of British Columbia, and it's at grade for mile after mile after mile, and you will see cars on fire on the side of the road, trucks. You'll drive along and there'll be a big black part on the side of the road. Yeah, there's someone's camper van burnt down.
Yeah.
So it's a real punishing test. If the Hybrid Max is fantastic on the highway, I would, it's more money, Andrea. I would just.
It is. It's a lot of money.
It's a lot more money.
In Canada, it's up
so
at 68,000.
The Turbo 4 would be my choice of that one.
You know which one I would get if I was doing a ton of Coquihalla driving, and we have friends who own this vehicle? A Honda Pilot. It gets you, you've got a V6 powertrain, there's plenty of power.
They're trying to
when
save
it's
money
fully
on
loaded.
fuel.
He did say gas or...
Yeah.
The problem with Turbo 4s is that when you are doing that Coquihalla with a gas model, with
There's
a
a lot of
Turbo
strain.
4, I don't know if you're going to get the EPA fuel economy numbers anyway. So
No
why
car
not just
is.
go for the V6 in the Pilot when you're driving like that?
Yeah, but it's the other times of the year when you're just dropping kids at school, going to the grocery store, going to activities.
Yeah.
That thing's terrible on gas.
Terrible on gas.
So listen, I'm going to solve your problem right now. You ready?
Yes, what?
For doing all that stuff around town, get the Grand Highlander Hybrid and then rent a car for those times you go to the interior.
Why don't you do that? That might be a good idea. Another one to look at is the Atlas.
That's a
It's
Turbo 4 as
big.
well,
it's
Andrea.
It's a Turbo 4, yes. But I felt like it had some pretty good power.
And I think the Traverse, the Chevy Traverse, that engine was really good.
But if I am doing a lot of Coquihalla driving, like I don't know how much you're doing, I would be more comfortable in the Pilot myself, just saying. I've been seeing that sales for the Acura are down for most of their models except the RDX. I like the MDX better than the RDX. What do you think is the reason for Acura's low sales? Where are they really lacking behind the competition? And someone actually followed up on this on Instagram on the question. Along with this, I would love to hear their thoughts on the new 2025 MDX change to a touchscreen.
Well, I think you're answering the question. People are holding off, not buying the 24. They're waiting for the 25 because we go on about it all the time, how you have to use the trackpad and we don't like it. That's what they're getting rid of. They're going to a touchscreen. So all of you that watch the Motormouth YouTube channel are like, I'm not buying a 24. I'm waiting for the 25.
Yeah.
So I think that may be part of it. And they might also be building down inventory of the 24 to go to the new model change. And that could be the case as well.
Yeah, I really like the new touchscreen. I mean, I haven't used it yet, but I like the fact that they've moved away from it not being a touchscreen. It was needed for Acura. I think that consumers are looking at other brands. They're looking at hybrids and plug-in hybrids. They want something electrified. And if you look at Acura, they've actually eliminated many of their base models in Canada. And you're going to pay more for it.
But
it's
also,
really changed.
What are we living through right now? We're living through a high interest rate environment. And what we're seeing industry-wide is people are shopping one class down, where they thought, I would really like to have an MDX at 1% interest. I could pay for that every month. But, their rolling costs for, I don't know what the sales spiffs are, but if it's too high, they maybe go for a smaller, less expensive vehicle just to keep their monthly payments down. And we're seeing that people are going from small SUVs to compact cars. Compact cars are starting to sell well. People are going from compact SUVs to subcompact SUVs because they're trying to keep their monthly payments down.
Love your show. Thank you. What would be the best sedan to buy for long road trips? Quiet cabin with a good suspension. Can be a hybrid or gas, but under 35,000 Canadian. I got to tell you, good deal on the Hyundai Elantra hybrid. Really good deal. And we haven't driven the new Civic hybrid yet, but it starts at just over 33,000 Canadian. And then the top trim is just under 37,000 Canadian.
Yeah, starting to get up there in price.
It is.
Hey, listen, if you want to go for budget, great highway, amazing fuel economy, Jetta. The Jetta returns hybrid-like fuel economy in their regular gas. And it's a big compact car, has a fairly long wheelbase, and is comfortable. Can't remember the quietness of it, but that is going to return amazing fuel economy. And you can get one of those for cheap compared to the others.
Yeah,
right?
and I found the Jetta to be really smooth.
Yeah. It's like,
I was hoping actually for something a little bit more engaging from the Jetta, but that wasn't the case. It's just comfortable and smooth.
it's just a good all-rounder.
For sure.
But the fuel economy, so just back this up a second. So if you're looking for a hybrid and you want to get good fuel economy, you can get that at a lower price with a Jetta.
I'm super excited though about the Civic hybrid. I cannot wait to drive it. Waiting for it. I heard that Kia wants to bring back the Stinger.
This is our last one, Andrea, because we're already way over 20 minutes.
Okay, Zach. I heard that Kia wants to bring back the Stinger as an EV. That Stinger, is it here? Is it gone? What's going on with the Stinger? Have you guys heard anything about that?
They're schizophrenic with this car. We've heard we're canceling the Stinger, and then the next year would come around and it's like, it's still here, the Stinger.
Oh my
It's like you can't kill the thing.
And I really like the Stinger. I don't get it. People, I guess, aren't buying the Stinger. The rumor
It's a sedan, that's why.
and this is not from Kia, but this is the rumor that yes, a Kia Stinger EV will be here for 2026. Is that the truth? I have no idea, but that's what we're hearing. I mean, some of you might think that the Stinger is still around. And
We
it's
need to
being
go
sold.
to Korea and find out, Andrea. Go.
Korea.
Hello, Kia.
We can
Any
talk about
Stingers,
the EV3,
Stingers back there?
EV3. We can talk about the Stinger if we're in Korea, but only if we're in Korea.
Couldn't do it here.
No.
Have to go there.
Have to go there.
All right, we're all out of time. How do you get a question in?
Follow along on Instagram at motormouth_Andrea. Every Sunday morning, I put a post out on Instagram with Zach and I holding coffees. Once we gather our questions, the post is deleted and we start the show.
We'll see you then.